My homosexuals, it is so good to see you guys. Oh man, what a week that's gone by. Let me tell you what, if I sound hoarse, it's because I am. My congestion is horrific. You know, when you go on a cruise across international waters with a couple thousand people, yeah, you're gonna get sick. You're kind of bound to it. But I will say, the infinite food and drink package pretty much saved it, because it didn't matter how bad I felt when the majority of the time I was hammered off my ass, which I don't drink ever. It's very rare, and I don't really like alcohol in the first place, but you put the word free in front of something, and as my brother said it best, we're on a boat. What are we going to do other than drink and have fun? And I was like, you know what? When I go out of town, it is really something that I've gotten better with in this past year, especially just really giving myself that time to walk away, especially kind of like when you get an injury that you don't really know how to recover from, other than just giving it some time off. You just got to enjoy yourself a little bit. You know, don't obligate yourself to worry so much about the things when it comes to your passions in the short-term enjoyment you're trying to have on this kind of a trip, because it's not going to happen very often, if ever again. I don't know the next time I'll ever get to have an experience like this ever in my life. You know, it could never happen. And I am grateful for the fact that I got to go, and the fact that I actually took it as a break, a legitimate time to relax. And let me tell you something. After figuring out the squat issue I had with my walkout that basically fixed my knee, last video you guys saw me about a week ago, let me tell you what, my knee has felt ecstatic. We are on a great track to success right now. I'm very, very happy for it. I only did one workout while I was on the boat. There was actually a gym on this cruise. It was so big. And I only did one because obviously I was drinking a lot, and I don't like working out when I am inebriated. But most of all, we're on a boat, and no matter how big it is and how steady it feels because of how huge it is in the ocean, you're still rocking for 5 days straight. It was a 5-day cruise, and I was rocking back and forth the entire time, even if my brain couldn't recognize it. Because when you get used to it, you'll feel like you're on flat ground, because you're so used to having an equilibrium when it comes to especially your brain's balance. You know, your brain will automatically balance you out to whatever gravity you have to deal with, and you won't even realize you're rocking back and forth, even on the hardest waves. And I felt it on the dumbbell bench press. I'll tell you that. So I just did a couple machines, did a good burnout, just to get the muscles where I wanted them to before I came back to town to try out the program. And let me tell you what, today was fun. Today was really, really relieving, but also stressful in a good way. It's that pressure I need, you know, because I love working under pressure. It makes me at my best. I know a lot of people don't like working under pressure, but it makes me overachieve and overcome the hurdles that I don't understand yet, or don't know the potential that I have to overcome them in the first place. And let me tell you something, it worked like a charm today. It definitely was super, super difficult in the sense of, you know, you could imagine that the mass congestion that I feel in my nasal cavities, combined with 5 days worth of boat rock, which, by the way, when you get off the boat, becomes horrific, because now my brain is used to balancing at a point where I'm constantly back and forth all the time, and now on flat ground I can't help but move back and forth, even if I am trying to force myself not to. Even if I'm standing completely still, my brain still feels like it should be rocking back and forth, because that was the normal it got used to. But I will say, getting back into the program like this and trying to do something consistent with the training that I want to be working toward with the current goals I have in mind, it is going to be good for getting that balance back, so that, because my body has to like balance itself out in order to hit these heavy weights. That's just how it is. On the snatch, I was pretty thoroughly surprised, if I don't say so myself, because you're rocking back and forth mentally, at least, whipping a barbell over your head with that heavy a weight, because I just jumped right back into the program today. Oh man, I failed 205 once, failed 235 for 2 separate reps, but did hit every single set, which is an incredible hurdle I've just jumped over. It's really something to show that this is the program I wrote months ago when my knee first started feeling hurt again because of the walkout issue, and I was constantly working on it, and then I have to leave town. This is what I wanted to get back on. It's slightly lighter than I've done in the past, but it's more focused back on a few lifts throughout the week where I go pretty heavy just to get that good effort, that strength over time, progressive overload type training, while also certain days, like with the overhead squat and the snatch pull, being more based off set volume so that I can get the conditioning in with the volume and it still have the same intensity, just locked in a different way. And I will say, after the 235 snatch triple, which I'm very proud of, since, again, I've been gone for a week, I haven't thrown anything, and that's a very big hurdle. But the overhead squat definitely took me out. And it's not like, 245 for 3 sets of 6 is nothing in my past workload. The current workout log that I have, puts me at being able to do that at like 265, for example. I could probably, before I left town, I probably could have done that, but we aren't the same person anymore. You have to adapt to where your body's at now, no matter where you think you should be at according to past progression. Because past progression doesn't exist. That's a good, positive perspective to make you work better now, but that's not going to help you in the current moment. You got to put in your best and at least try to get past these small yet significant hurdles because of how much intensity you have to put behind them when the mind-muscle connection and the conditioning just isn't there yet. And you'll see it. The first 2 sets, I was wobbling really bad. My arms were just noodles. My joints were actually great, which is good. I'm glad I did some lifting on the boat so that I could get that little bit of conditioning. And I also rock climbed, which was cool and way harder than I thought. But regardless, that little bit of conditioning could have been what helped today, which is I'm very, very thankful for. And I will say it was so hard to, especially in my forearms. I tell you guys all the time, the front squat and the overhead squat are going to train your wrist tendons pretty hard. Your wrist is going to feel very inflated, like your forearm will when you burn it out. And it's hard to really hold on to a bar in a confident, comfortable way when it's trying to wobble like that and you can't really feel how hard you're actually locking it out. But regardless, we persevere. And the thing that I was working on the most with overhead squat today that was really getting to me was the walkout, because that's what I learned on my back squat right before I left. I only had that one exercise to figure it out, and then I left for a week. I didn't get to do it with overhead or front squat. So I had the ideology from that experience that I have the same issues on overhead squat and front squat. So I started by trying to not let my feet shimmy at all, keep them stationary where they are. And then I realized every single set on my warm-ups, my right foot was still going forward. And I'm like, well, that's a fucking issue. That's going to just bring the knee pain back. We got to fix that right now. So I started just trying to feel out every moment of it, taking a set to let it do what it wants, take a set to try to control one certain part of it, see what gets that one perfect rep so that I can reimburse it into the future sets. And turns out, I've mentioned this in the past, I didn't really understand it before, but on my back squat, that was the only thing I felt pain on. The front squats might have it sometimes, but it typically was fine. And overhead squat specifically never had pain. And on the set that I allowed my feet to do whatever they wanted, turns out, I don't know why exactly. I might be putting a little bit more pressure on my left side or my right side that makes the push jerk a little off balance, but my right foot goes forward off the jerk, getting it over my head. And so keeping my foot stationary from that was what was keeping my foot in front of the other. So I got used to the mind muscle connection of allowing that only in the right foot, allowing that right foot to shimmy back and then holding it there. And that's where I felt the most comfortable. And that last set, let me tell you, was beautiful. Just getting some good pins and needles, feeling really confident, really secure. And just, you got to make sure you take your time on an overhead squat, because with my brain being all jumbled and it being hard to balance myself when I'm rocking back and forth mentally, it's really hard to hold that technical of a squat. And taking your time, especially on the descent of an overhead squat, is very important so that you don't rush it and you don't let the weight fall forward or let it go too far back on the way back up. You gotta take it slow, no matter how hard your shoulders or arms might be burning. You know, it's something that you got to get used to so that you can overcome it and allow yourself to hold on to that good lockout in the future. Snatch pull. You know, I'm definitely happy with it. I will say at that point, body was pretty dead, which is also a good thing for snatch pull, because I put my pulls at the end of my heavy Olympic days because I want to blast the CNS before I leave. This is the day I go the hardest on. Technically, that doesn't always happen, but that's the idea, you know, because I had a rest day the day before. And the hard whippage with some heavy weight for some good set volume, it will get your form right. And sometimes actually give you more confidence in your low back if you actually lock it in correctly, you know, holding it thoroughly through the entire lift up, so that you don't let your butt go up first, or you don't let your shoulders go too far back or too far forward. Really committing to the technique and grinding that CNS so that you can put that effort into whatever you got to do the next day. Like tomorrow's going to be clean and jerk, recovery, and back squat, a little bit heavy. And I'm going to need my low back and especially my core to be locked the hell in. So it'll be good. It'll be a great progression. Physically, got to give it... Oh man, I gotta be real. Great hurdles have been overcome today. Good confidence coming back. Very glad to be back on the normal program and my knee's not hurting at all, which is awesome. But, you know, a week off is gonna make me feel really wobbly and not as confident as I would have definitely liked to have been. But still, only 10 pounds under what the previous weights would have been on the last peak program. I'm gonna take that as a huge win. Huge win. Got to give it an 8.75. That's pretty good. It was really wobbly. Definitely not worth a 9. If I felt more stable in the overhead squat and maybe a little bit more confident and strong on the snatch, could have gotten to the 9. But I got to be real, and we got to set these bars where they're supposed to be so that next time I can do way better. Because it makes you get in your head a little bit in the moment when you feel like you're not making great progress right when you want to. It makes you question what you should be doing the next day, but you got to just try it. You got to just start something, you know? You got to just jump into it and see what happens, you know? Mentally, shit. Mentally, I'll give it a 9.1, just past the threshold. Because it was a great day, and it was really nice to get back in. I have missed the gym so much. Every time I feel like the breakaway has been really good and healthy for me, especially mentally, if not more physically, the moment I do it again, I remember why I'm so passionate, you know? That's what makes me love it so much more, you know, giving myself that time away to come back and want to crush it twice as badly as I did in the first place. But it's the biggest thing was I was questioning whether or not I should, you know, do my complexes, do a deload, do something chill on the way back. But realistically, before I left town, I already did that. I did the week of complexes and deloading and feeling out some comfortable heavy top weight just to make sure that it was there. And I fixed my knee pain positioning. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, I feel very physically apt. I did hit the workout on the boat to get my muscles and joints conditioned, you know, and for the most part, I feel like I could do it. And the weights are already lighter than normal, so why not at least try, you know, because I could have gotten in there. And if I failed 225, for example, then no, I would have taken the week to deload and chill out. But it's the fact that I didn't know what I was capable of before wanting to try it. And this is what I've been leading up to for so long. You know, that month and a half before I left town that I spent trying to condition my knee, recover, take time off, recondition everything back to where I wanted to get to. The week off is probably what made me have the highest potential to get back into this when I wanted to, you know, when I felt like I could instead of being afraid. You know, you got to worry later and just try it right now in the present moment. This is what I'm talking about with like my workout tomorrow. It didn't go super amazingly today compared to what I've done in the past, but that doesn't mean tomorrow is going to be the same way. I might get on there tomorrow and absolutely crush my clean and jerk and back squat day. You know, it might feel like a 9.9 out of 10, but I won't know until I give it that effort. And only when you fail, after trying your absolute hardest and having the best mentality to succeed, then you can rethink it all and then come back and put higher hopes on the next cycle back on when you redo the program again. So if I start failing, let's just take the weight lower. Why not? It's not a big deal. It's always going to be hard, and it's always going to be a tough effort to get through anyway. So why not just try my best with the lightweight and then rebuild it back up the next month, and then the next month, and then it just keeps going and going and going. And eventually, I'll be snatching 3 plates like it's nothing, you know? But you have to commit to that present moment and just allow the future lifts to happen, man. You can't force it. You can't put a time on how strong you're going to get. You know, I like to tell people sometimes, like, oh, well, based off my current growth, there's chances that I could be snatching 315 and clean and jerking 405 in a matter of a year and a half, 2 years, maybe a little bit more. But, you know, before I'm 25 is what I like to tell myself. But I also know for a fact that anything can happen. I could lose weight. I could gain weight. I could get injured. I could get mortally injured and never lift again. You can't bank your success off of what numbers you think you'll be able to hit at a certain time frame. It doesn't work like that. Enjoy the moment for what it is and just lift your heart out today. And if you do your absolute best, great. Push it harder tomorrow. And then when you come back and come back and come back, you're going to wake up one day and just look at yourself and be like, damn, when did this guy get so fucking strong? You know? That's the beauty of just letting life happen at its own pace. You won't realize how much progress you've made until you've allowed it to happen itself without expectation or obligation. Just strictly passion and love for the sport and the life that you're trying to live. That's it. So anyway, gonna get going. It's great to be back. Super great to get to talk to you guys again. These self-talks get me going. And by the way, I had no internet the entire time I was gone. The support you guys put on the last couple videos before I left town, when I was trying out the comfortable heavy stuff, getting my form down and figuring out my pain and everything, insanely high support. I haven't seen those kinds of numbers in a minute. So it was really, really nice to wake up on the last day of my trip and realize how many of you came to check that out and support while I was not even realizing you were there, you know, in the coolest way possible, you know. Same thing with the weights. I didn't have an expectation with who'd stick around because I just love doing this, but I woke up one day and I was like, shit, where'd you guys come from? Oh, man. Anyway, let me know how y'all's lives and lives have been going. I got to hear about it. It's been too long. Keep me updated. And I'll be back tomorrow as always, putting in 100%. You know, we're going to get back to the normal schedule. I do have another trip planned in a week or a little bit more because my birthday's coming up. Me and my girlfriend's birthdays are in the same week. So we're going to leave town for a couple days. But other than that, I'll be here. Putting in 110, doing as much as I can in the short span of life that I've got. So I appreciate y'all hanging out. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.